Greetings, everybody. Patrick here, Eight Questions With, and we are here for the nightcap of our doubleheader. I'm glad you're here. It is cold and gray and wet, and definitely feeling like fall, very much so. Um, Tonight we will be talking with actress JoJo Munkee tonight, and she'll be here in about 15 minutes. And looking forward to this very, very much. This will be our middle show this week. Our last show of the week will be tomorrow. We are doing a roundtable tomorrow. Um, and then next week will be our last week of October. We have three more shows. We have Dylan Yeager on Tuesday, uh, Count Gregula on Wednesday, and Jeff Clark Jr. on Thursday, and that will be it till December. Um, yeah. Well, we have the IFC show coming up on the 24th. Oh, and that will be with over at Ben's channel, Cadaver Club's channel. And yeah, so hopefully you'll come in and be entertained. I will be putting up a banner for that for Ben. I'll be putting that up on my Facebook page probably tomorrow. Um, yeah, a great show today. Well, I hope it was a good show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In case you missed it, we had a really fun night last night. With a good show. Um, We had a good show last night with Amy Lynn Woodall, 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 and she was a lot of fun. She's a firecracker, that's for sure. And then we have JoJo tonight, and we had earlier show. We talked to our good friend Al Lucard, aka the Bat. That was a fun show, and glad you guys who all came out for that show. I'm glad you guys came out for it. Uh, One quick programming note. I was just learned this tonight after we are done here. Um, uh, if you want to go over and visit the Midnight Hour at 10:15, they will be doing their annual spectacular watch party of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that will be on Hobbs Horror's channel tonight. As soon as we get done here. Um, hey, Stephen, how are you, sir? All right. So JoJo Monkey's gonna be a lot of fun to chat with as well. She's done a lot of independent films as well as some fan films. She's appeared in a couple of Batman fan films, playing Harley Quinn. And so I asked her earlier. I asked her if she was a big comic book fan, and she said that while she's not a huge fan, she did appreciate and enjoy watching Neil Gaiman's uh, uh, series. Oh, of oh my gosh, this is starting to become a problem here. I should make notes. I really should make notes. Wow. I'm sorry. Let me get what's. I don't want to. Oh my gosh, this is not good. Let's see, the Sandman. That's right, it's the Sandman. So she appeared and she enjoyed the Sandman comic book. I don't know why I kept on. Okay, yeah, which I read years ago. I read that years ago, but I have not read it, since it first came out. But she said one of her friends said that she looked like the character of Delirium in the series. Um, so we will be talking to her about that as well as her other films. She's appeared in some other short films with some of the other actors that we'll be talking to. She appeared in one film called Recompense. Recompense. Oh my gosh! Oh boy, I hope I'm not having a stroke here. Um, Recompense. Recompense. Wow. Okay. Hold on. This is really. I must either be. Yeah, I have to watch that. I would love to see that show. I did not know they didn't. I remember they made a series out of it, but I never saw it. I only read the comic book. Let me see if I can say this. I'm sort of recompense. That's not right. And that actually is in pre-production. Actually, with Dylan Yeager, who she'll be doing a short with Dylan Yeager. Recompense. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Okay, so okay, I must be really wiped out here. I'm seeing a word that I know and I can't say it. That's not good. That's not good at all. It's not good. Let's see. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, congratulations to the Phillies, man. They're playing some great ball, and it does look like it's gonna be well, it definitely looks like it's gonna be the Phillies. Texas is still a little iffy. Um, because Houston came back and won yesterday, and Scherzer didn't look all that good. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. That would be cool though. I mean, the Rangers getting back in, that would be nice. They had a nice little run about 10 or 12 years ago when they had Ron Washington as their manager, and they went to two World Series but didn't get either one of them. And of course, the last time the Phillies were in the series, they got their ass kicked by the Yankees. So I'm sure the Philly fans would like to wipe that memory off their wipe that bad memory out. But yeah, Boshi won rings with the Giants. That's for sure. Oh, the doorbell has just rang. The doorbell has rang. So you know what that means? That means we got to go get our guest. So share us out and have questions, and let's go get our guest. And hopefully, I don't tongue tie myself like I already have the first 15 minutes of the show. All right, here we go. Help me welcome in actress JoJo Munkee.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am just fantastic now. How are you?
Good, good. Oh, I love the cat ears.
Oh, thank you. I like to
Um,
feel like I'm constantly in a rave everywhere I go. So here we go.
all right. I saw that. Oh boy, I'm gonna be tripping over myself saying this. Reconcile. Okay. Wow, I don't really understand what's going on here. Rep. Okay, you're doing a film with Dylan Yeager. Recompense. Oh my God, this is actually sort of scary. Uh, I was going to comment about this. I was excited to talking to about it. Uh, compensate, compensate, compensate.
Recompense?
Recompense. Say it again.
Recompense?
Recompense. Yeah, I just can't. I can't say that word. That's weird. That's weird.
Recompense.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a project that has been on the wayside for a while. I know Dylan was originally cast in it and dropped out to do other big things. Uh, so it's kind of been sitting on the wayside. If he's back in on that project, that's actually exciting news for me to hear.
Yeah, I would like to see that because where are you based at?
I am in Burlington.
Okay, so Burlington, that's in
Yes,
Iowa.
yes, yes, correct.
Okay. I know there's two of them. There's Burlington, Vermont, and then there's Burlington. Okay, so
There's a lot of difference, yeah.
but I figured out the Iowa part when I saw Dylan's name there. Now, now, how far is Burlington from the I guess what would be the main city, Des Moines, Des Moines?
It's about 3 hours, I want to say, give or take.
So, so are you what's it? I mean, uh, oh my gosh, this is really something. My brain is just so zapped all of a sudden. Uh, so Burlington is 3 hours away. So you is it a big city? I mean, where you live at, is it nice? Is it a good sized town?
I would say it's a good sized town. It's
Okay.
not what I would call a big city, but it is a good size. It's not so small that everybody knows your name, but it's not so giant that you get lost in it.
The reason I was asking is because we interviewed we were talking uh, with Rob Merritt. We talked to we also talked to uh, this is really bad.
I'm familiar with Rob.
Um, I don't know why all of a sudden it's all of a sudden I hit a wall today. We also talked to Damian Mancino, and he
Oh,
had commented. Oh yeah, we talked to Damon, and he mentioned that there was a 48-hour film contest,
yeah.
and they had 52 teams out there competing.
Yes,
And so, that's what I was wondering. It's like does Burlington have their own film community? Do you have your own like a community theater out there?
we
Is it
do. I'm actually involved with the community theater. I've been in a lot of musicals and shows, mostly comedies. Mostly the comedies and musicals I've been a part of. We also have a cinema, a combination cinema and I don't want to say a live performance venue, the Capitol Theater, where we host our Snake Alley Festival of Film, in which I am a co-host. Um, so that's how I got my foot in the film community, if you will.
uh, so well, that's a good place to start. I mean, I've always wondered why. I've talked to a lot of folks on here, and it sort of surprised me a little bit how how few people actually have done community theater. A lot of them go to college, a lot of them just did short films or what have you. But I always looked at community theater as a really vital place to start in. I mean, it's like you learn basically all the basics of acting. And that includes working behind the scenes as well. Um, I just think it's a great thing. I think I get a lot of people in the chat and they'll ask like, how do I get my start? How do I start? And to me, it's like, man, the best place to start is find a local community theater and go over there and volunteer.
I both agree and disagree with that for two different reasons. Agree, it's a good place to definitely to build community, to build confidence, to get the feel of working as a team with other actors. Uh, However, film acting and stage acting, and you may have heard this from other people, they're two very different animals.
Right.
Um, so they have their own rules. Um, I wish I could remember who best uh, explained it. Um, I think I actually may have learned this at the New York Film Academy where I went after high school. But acting on stage, um, you're you're building yourself out to your audience, um, and projecting out to them. Where with film, you're bringing your audience in to you, and I
Okay.
think that accurately describes it. You're not quite as big on film as you would be on stage, and stage feels more intimate because it's right there in front of you, and you're never going to see the same show twice. So they're both amazing in their own beautiful ways.
They really are. I love live theater myself. I especially the light musicals. I
Mm,
think they're really fun. Um, and you're right. I never thought about that, but yes, as a live theater actor, you are projecting out, and with film, you are bringing the audience in. That's a
mhm,
really good way of putting it. Um, now so Burlington at least has a theater though. So,
mhm.
you did is that where you got your start at? Have you always lived in Burlington, or did you, relocate there?
I relocated. I actually married into Burlington, and I've been stuck here for about 16 years now. um, but I no, I did get my first. Well, no, that's not even true. I got my first community acting uh, role in Texas at the Backdoor Theater. I don't think I have anybody from there watching me, but if they are, hello. um, but yeah, I went and auditioned for a comedy that was written actually by Steve Martin called The Underpants. And I not only got cast at my first audition, but I was cast as the lead role, and that was very exciting for me. So I, I kept I kept doing it. And then I ended up here, and I've been doing a lot of the theater here since. And I've only kind of slowed down after having my son. But it is practically in my backyard. The theater is right there.
Now, are you still active in it now, or have you, do you still do productions of there, or have you moved on to just strictly film?
I have done them recently. I don't do them as often as I once did. I was once able to do them back to back to back, and I loved it. But I definitely have been putting more of my focus this year on film acting and gig work. So yeah, my theater has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat, much to the disappointment of some of my theater fans.
Yeah, I would think that you would be. I would think that once you get attached to any project at the theater, I'm sure that it probably means heads because they've seen you there before. They know
Mm-hmm.
you're a really good actress. So whenever a local production has you on it, I'm sure tickets sales do spike up. I've seen that. I've seen that before. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
a popular performer will draw people. So it's just like basically it's just like a musical. The more popular the actors are, the more people will come in and see them act. And it doesn't really matter what the play is either. They really come to see you.
Well, I mean, it is flattering to hear things like that for sure. I've, I've also, I once used to say people would, tease that, oh, I'm a local celebrity, and I used to say things like, well, I don't consider myself a local celebrity until people that I don't recognize myself approach me and start saying, "Oh, you're JoJo," instead of, "Oh, you're that one person that was in that one thing. I really liked you in that role." And then it started happening. So I guess I can officially adopt local celebrity status.
Yeah, why
Because
not? I mean, if you earn the respect, then by all means, that's exactly what it means. You worked hard, people recognize your talent, and it's always cool too when people walk up to you and say, I really admire your work. I think you're really good. It helps. It justifies all the hard work that you put into it, and into learning your roles and whatever it is, whether it be light comedy or singing or drama. I mean, the fact that folks see you and they recognize your talent, that must be, like I said, it must be very rewarding.
it definitely can be. It's definitely an ego boost. I try to not let my head get so inflated that I can't walk through doors. But I I would say probably the most um, rewarding moment would be when I was actually working a gig in um, in another city. I can't remember where it was now, but I was in another city in Iowa, in about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, and I was just working a gig. I was signing people into this event, and just doing something that I signed up for pay. And a couple walked in, and they were like, "You look very familiar to me. Where have we seen you before?" And I looked at them and I thought, "Oh, they look familiar. They actually look like they might be one of the attendees of our local theater." I was like, "Well, where are you coming from? Where are you from?" They said, "Oh, we came here from Burlington." I said, "Okay, so you've probably seen me in some shows." And you're like, "That's who you are." And you're like, "You thought so, but it would seem strange that we'd see you all the way out here." So I found people that, they were, they came from far out and they knew who I was. So um, that was
Ha-
very exciting.
it is very exciting. Now you mentioned you had your son. How old is your son?
He just turned 5 this summer.
Okay.
And he's at that age where, he's,
He's gonna start picking up on it. He's gonna start picking up on people knowing, talking to mom, going like, "Oh, I know you," because kids pick up things like that pretty fast.
he thinks that he wants to be in his own movie, but I don't think he quite has the understanding yet of how that works.
Uh,
um, but yeah, he's used to people, coming and going through here, and mommy having a lot of different friends, and going different places. And sometimes he comes along with me, and sometimes he doesn't. Like for now, he's actually going to school. He's with his dad this year for school. So, um, but yeah, he does. He loves seeing mommy on the screen and on stage for sure.
that's really, I never really talked about that, but I'll ask you. I'll ask you this: how does that work out? I mean, do you tell your husband like, okay, I got an audition, so you do the audition, you win the part, and then they send you the filming schedule. Um, how does I mean is that it? How important is it to work together on making sure that everything is covered? Because in independent filming, it's just because it says we're shooting the first week of February, it doesn't always mean the first week of February because things always pop up. Um, so how do you balance a home life with your acting life? I mean, how do you keep it even keel?
Well, I'm actually no longer married, but yeah, when I was, that was one of those things that made things a little. It made things tense. Um, I'm, to be frankly honest, he was more of the homebody, and I was more of the. I mean, he was he. I think he wanted to be supportive, um, but especially when after we did have our son, it made it difficult for me to juggle, as you say, the work and family life as far as film and stage. And the thing with being in a play too that's so different from a film, actually that was almost harder because theater takes you away a lot more because you have the rehearsal leading up to the show, and then you have the shows, and then if you're like me, a very social person, you want to go to the after parties for the shows and spend some celebratory time with your cast members, and that's all something that if you're married to somebody who's more of a homebody like my husband was, it does make things tense. So so you kind of have to know your partner when it comes to that. I think it's different for everybody.
Sure, sure. And the thing is, though, it's like a lot of people have to learn that it's not, it's when you rehearse and then when you go to the after parties, a lot of times people say, "Oh my gosh, you're just going out there and having a fun." Well, an after party is not necessarily fun. It's necessary. A lot of times you're there on for the producers to say thank you to the producers. You're there to make them look good. You're there to, to let your town know there's a theater in here that they want them to come back and watch other plays. It's an extension of your acting job, to do an after party or do a special performance.
I would say too that that's another difference with film after parties and theater after parties. Because I feel like with theater after parties, those are more fun. Those are just that's the actors and directors' downtime. That's where they're actually getting together and mingling and enjoying each other's time without the stress of memorizing lines and getting blocking just right and all the stress that may come with putting on a perfect show. But I do think you're exactly right as far as film after parties or after parties at a film festival, because yes, that is more about networking because you're meeting new people that you haven't worked with, but you maybe saw on the screen and thought they were great, and so this is your opportunity to get to know them and who they are and work out collaboration. So yes, definitely an extension of the job in that regard.
I'm hearing some sort of noise from your microphone. Is there any? It's
It
like
could
when
be
you're talking. It's like when you're talking. Someone's. Oh, of course. That's on top of your head. Okay. Okay. Now I understand.
it's probably my foot actually. They're rubbing. Let's see if I can pin those up.
No, I was
My
wondering what that was.
apologies.
It's when you're talking, like it sounded like someone was playing with the microphone. Now I figured out it's on top of your head. So when you talk, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So
I have little bang leaves in my hair that rub, and so I'm trying to like pin them up out of the way here. So they won't be doing that. My apologies, folks.
no biggie, no biggie. Um, so how do you like now as far as auditioning goes though? So do you have to you do obviously you do taped auditions. Um, how do you like working? How do you like being an actress in Iowa? What's it like being an actress in Iowa? Do you feel like it's is it are there enough parts for to go around for the actors in Iowa? Do you find yourself competing for roles within the state, or do you try to go outside the state for your for or you go anywhere that anybody wants you to?
Yeah. Again, I think it depends on the film. I think it depends on. I mean, like in a lot of places, it's kind of more about who you know and who you've worked with. Uh, Word of mouth. When it comes to auditions, I mean, if it's someone that you're auditioning for the first time, yes, it can feel very competitive. Um, it's just there's a lot of different factors, I think, and it just varies depending on who's holding the audition, what they're offering. Again, because not all in the Midwest, it feels like there's not a lot of paid gigs, so it's kind of more about getting your face out there when it comes to those. But then you have the ones where they are offering payment as part of the budget, and those are the ones that people are obviously going to be clamoring for. And those are far and few between, it seems, in comparison. So those can be a lot more competitive for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, yeah, especially the ones that you get a paycheck for. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
nice to, it's, I guess, I guess it's, that's the difference between being an actor and a working actor, if you actually get compensated for your time. Um, let's see, our friend Steven says here, she has a question. If you could do any genre of film, um, What genre of film would do you like the best? Where do you think what is your strongest?
Definitely comedy. I see myself as the comic relief character, and that seems to be the area that people like seeing me the best in. So
That's all
comedy.
right though. That's a hard role. Those are always a hard role to play, the like the best friend, or the main character. I mean, I always feel that those roles are very underrated for the most part. People just don't, they see the lead, but to set up the jokes and to set up set up the romance or the always, it seems like every type of romantic comedy or something, there's always a little hiccup, in the third act, that the best friend has to help the leading her best friend, get over it. And those things are always fun to watch. So sometimes those roles are more interesting than the lead role, because the lead role, especially in comedy, sometimes it can be just a little bit flat. It's a little bit predictable.
Is a straight guy, yeah.
But the best friend, you don't know what they're gonna do or how they're gonna do it, and that always makes, like I said, it always makes them a lot more fun to watch on the screen, for me anyway. Let's see.
Well, and I think that's why they would call it the comic relief character, because you're just getting that little relief from the story, the main uh, dredge of the story. And she gets, oh look, that person's here. Oh, Kimmy Gibbler's back. What are they going to do now? Well, those are the ones I love.
Now he's mentioning here, Steven's mentioning here, um, I'm gonna have to say I don't really see that though. But he says that he could see you being a screen queen. I I don't really see that. I don't really, or a final, eventual screen queen or final girl. Yeah, I'm not really feeling that. Do you feel like do you think do you consider yourself a good horror actress?
Well, actually, if I have anybody watching from my theater family, they would tell you for sure I've been typecast as the promiscuous lush in most cases, because I
Oh, I
do
don't see
play
that
them
either.
very well.
Oh gosh, I don't see you as that either. Wow, really? So they yeah, I don't see you as a lush either. That's interesting. Um,
I get cast in those roles a lot, so yeah, so it's a nice reprieve when I can be more the best friend role, as you say, or even the villain. I have fun with. So
yeah, you've acted in let's talk about this because this is exciting for me anyway, because I'm a comic book fan, but you've acted in a couple of the Batman fan films.
yes,
You played Harley Quinn. Now I could actually see that and hear it. I can
mm-hmm.
your voice, yeah, it very lends itself very much to Harley Quinn. So how did you get involved in the Batman fan films? Because you and I talked a little bit earlier, and I asked you if you're a comic book fan, and you're saying other than the Sandman by Neil Gaiman, not really. So did you know who Harley Quinn was when
I
they asked you?
did. I did because, and actually, I knew Harley Quinn fairly well even before she became so mainstream through the film. Not because of comic books, but because I am a child of the '90s, and as other 90s children can relate, I watched a lot of cartoons on television, and uh, a lot of people may not know this other than diehard comic book fans or fans of the television show, but Harley Quinn made her first debut appearance on the cartoons and not in the comics. Um, so that was my introduction
Right.
to who Harley Quinn was through the television cartoon in the '90s.
Actually, when they wanted to bring her into the comic book, um, the editors at DC were very resistant to having her in the comics. they didn't take the character
Mhm.
seriously. So they resisted putting her in the comic books for until the fans basically said,
Mhm.
"Listen, you got to put her in." Um,
That's exactly right. Yeah, she was a fan favorite, and so that's eventually kind of what won them over with her. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the voice actress who I guess recently just passed away. Um, she was a good friend of and you'll have to forgive me, the name is escaping me, but she was a good friend of the guy that uh, produced the cartoons. Um, and I guess they did some comedy acting together themselves, and so he wanted to give her a voice in the cartoon series. And he thought, the Joker can't just be the Joker without some kind of a lackey or sidekick. And he thought, well, that sidekick should be female, and why not have her voiced by none other than my dear friend here, with her thick Brooklyn accent. Uh, and
yeah, she was perfect. Arlene Sorkin, and I'm thinking about this too. Like she starred in Days of Our Lives, and
mm-hmm,
her on-screen partner during her run there was none other than John Delancey, who played Q on Star Trek: The Next Generation. And those two, they were like the cute couple on the soap opera. They were very very popular. Um, so and then when Arlene did the voice, I mean, it was, you're right, it was instantaneous.
mm-hmm,
Um, People were really surprised to see, like they're like, who's the voice? Who's the voice? And then you finally saw her. That people were really, I think they were quite charmed to see
yes,
such a pixie become this Harley Quinn.
mm-hmm,
I think you have to have that personality to play her right. You have to be playful at heart. I know the comic books. She's a lot more aggressive and a lot more physical in the books, but on the TV shows, she was just so much more fun. Just pure fun.
yes,
Um, let's see. Steven mentions that's why a lot of people said, yeah, Arlene Sorkin. Yes.
mm-hmm,
Bruce Timm basically made Harley Quinn Arlene Sorkin. Yeah. See, they didn't realize the comic books, like I said, Bruce Timm did it, but they resisted putting her in the comic books for a while. Was she really married to Christopher Lloyd? I did not realize that.
I don't think I realized that either.
No, I didn't. Yeah. No, my first introduction to Arlene Sorkin was Days of Our Lives.
Huh.
Yeah, back a long time ago. And the first person who played Harley Quinn as in live action was Mia Sara. She played, but she didn't get to develop the character quite yet because the series was called Bird of Prey, and it only ran for 10 episodes. But the character was Harley Quinn, but it didn't develop. She wasn't Harley Quinn because the series didn't last long enough for them to develop the character into that. But as soon as you see it, Harley Quinzel was her name, and you knew who she was. You knew who she was supposed to be, and that
Mm-hmm,
was really cool too. A lot of people don't know that because the show only came for 10. It was only on for 10 weeks, and it was over.
mm-hmm,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I was watching that when I was rewatching the series for that. When I saw Mia Sara, I just didn't connect her. Even though she played the Doctor really well, I don't know how she would have translated to Harley Quinn. Um, but I'm sure that would have been interesting to see. So how did they ask you to play Harley Quinn? Did someone see you and hear your voice and ask you to come in and play her? And did you know who she was when you took the role? You did know who she was.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, yes. Because yeah, like I said, I knew of her from the '90s watching the cartoon. So, um, but yes, the funny thing was is that even well before I was offered the role, I would actually have people just out in public say things like, "Wow, you've got a very Harley Quinn vibe about you." So, like, have you ever cosplayed Harley Quinn? Because you look like you could do it very well. And I just always thought that was so funny when I would hear people say that, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess I definitely feel a connection with her as far as I'm silly and I can be rather obnoxious and the sexy one. Um, but yeah, no, I wasn't expecting to be offered the role. The guy who wrote, directed, and actually acted as Batman in these fan films, he actually approached me, I want to say a couple of years prior, and asked me to produce a fan film for him. And that one fell through because of incompetent actors, unfortunately. And it never went anywhere. I ended up having my son, and then I got super busy, and then he got married, and his wife got busy. So it just kind of it burned out. Um, However, uh, fast forward a couple years, our lives had finally kind of settled and balanced, and he decided he wanted to try and approach a different script. And he was sharing the idea with me, and he asked me if I wanted to come back on and produce the film. And I said, well, yes, of course, I'd love to help. Um, but as the script developed, he asked me if I was familiar with Harley Quinn and if I would be interested uh, in playing her in this script. I mean, initially he asked me if I wanted to voice Barbara Gordon because she had just a voice on the telephone. And I said, yeah, sure, I could do that. But then he was like, you know what? Actually, you would make the perfect Harley Quinn. And I had to just stop and start laughing because as many times as I had heard it, just walking into convenience stores, and now he's asking me to play the role. I said, twist my arm, but I think I might have to. So that's how that came about.
Now, did you watch so obviously why you weren't necessarily a comic book fan, but you did watch the cartoons. So
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you knew who the character was. So how did you approach her? Because you know what they say is like they say a lot of the characters is like it's how they're written. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Harley Quinn can come across as obnoxious. She can come across as vicious. She can come across as ditzy. She can come across as comedic. Um, what how did you play your Harley? Did you play her as did you play her as like anti-hero wise? Did you play her as a comic relief? How was your portrayal of Harley Quinn?
I definitely said that I was going to make her my own. I made her costume. I wore two different Harley Quinn costumes for each one that I did. Each one that I put together and made myself. Um, I made sure the directors knew now I'm going to make her my own character. I don't want to mimic uh, the cartoon. I don't want to mimic or be an exact carbon copy of the Harley Quinn from the Birds of Prey and Suicide series. I I'm going to make her my own, and I'm going to design her look myself. And they said we are all for that. So I took it and I ran with it. I think how I portrayed her was a little bit of everything, and it just kind of depended on uh, who I was on the screen with. Um, because one thing I like to do when I'm preparing for a role is uh, study different types of people, people with similar backgrounds to the character, if that information is provided to me. Harley Quinn, we know, was, obviously she went to college, she was a professional, she was a
Yeah,
therapist, and just being in the presence of the Joker, he got to
people
her head and
you
he broke her. Um,
people forget that. They forget that. They forget about that character. That Harley
mhm,
Quinn, they hear her and they hear this her talk. She has that high pitched squeaky voice. People
mhm,
always think her as she's just a ditz, and
mhm,
people get that. No, she's a medical doctor.
mhm.
She's not a fool. She's not stupid at all. She's a very smart
Right.
person.
Well, I think if I was to compare her to another character, I would say she's probably more like, at least in my interpretation, uh, as therapist, Harleen Quinzel, she's probably comparable to Elle from what was it, the Reese Witherspoon,
Oh,
Legally
legally,
Blonde.
yeah,
Yeah,
legally blonde.
so
Yes,
she's very, very smart, very intelligent, but still ditzy in personality. Like, she's obviously not stupid, but she dumbs herself down as just part of a personality, I think.
I
Um,
think I think characters in the books and in the comics, um, they sort of take her. If you take her for on surface value, and you underestimate her, it's just the wrong thing to do because she
mhm,
is she is very sharp. She's a very sharp character, and
yes.
it all depends who draws her or who voices her or whatnot. But that's I think what really makes Harley so much fun is because that she's very smart, she's very intelligent, and she's nobody's fool. I mean, even her precious Mr. J, he underestimates her at his own peril because I always felt like, to me, honestly, I think what made her such a great equal to Joker was the fact that, yes, it had the evil side of her of the tool, but she had the smarts. I felt like he was. I always felt like Harley was smarter than the Joker mentally. I
I don't
always
know.
got
I mean, I think they may have been evenly matched. I mean, 'cause obviously he was smart enough to know what to say and what to do to break her. Um, which, you don't have to be a dumb person to be broken. Um,
no, not at all.
but yeah, I think they both have intelligence uh, that you don't want to underestimate by any means. But I think they have different intelligence. Um,
History's full of good people, smart people that have been swayed over by an evil influence.
mhm,
Is when she was swayed over to join the Joker, when he's basically, he gaslit her or seduced her or
mhm,
what have you. That happens a lot to a lot of people who are definitely smarter than the person doing the seducing. But it all depends what words they say and if they connect with that person. And Harley was lonely. She was
mhm,
by herself. You can see when you see her in the TV show, she's all buttoned down and she's repressed, and
mhm,
he just reached in there and just tapped that inner part of her to make her come alive. You don't want to be like that person. You want to be this person, and
mhm,
he triggered that and created
yeah,
a very an immortal character. Um.
mhm.
So what was so now the gentleman who did the Batman film? Where did you film the film? Where did you film it at? Did you film it in Iowa?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah. Uh, some of it was here in Burlington. We actually got some amazing drone shots. One of our fellow cameramen is a drone pilot, and he just did some incredible shots with his drone. So he did, some sweeps over the city. We see shots of Batman standing on top of a building here in downtown Burlington, which Burlington, if you've ever seen it, it's a perfect Gotham, really. Um, so some of it was shot here, some of it was shot in. We got permission to use an abandoned school building um, to shoot the inside of, and that's where I did my scene as Harley Quinn with Joker. Um, so we just used whatever resources were available to us. So that was in a town outside of Burlington, a ways down, in the cornfields. But, um, and then some of it was, I believe, shot in, and I may be getting this completely wrong, but I think some of it may have even been shot in Cedar Rapids or in that area.
Now, do they have tall buildings in Burlington? What's the tallest building? What's the tallest building there?
It's hard to say for sure what the tallest building is. I can tell you what the tallest point in Burlington is,
Okay.
because it's so hilly that uh, so the highest point in Burlington is in a church that's just actually not too far down the road from me. But it sits the highest and its point reaches the highest. Now, I don't think it's the tallest building, however. I think the tallest building probably just sits a lot lower.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to say for sure what the tallest building is. But he shot I want to say he shot his building top scenes on top of the bank across the street from our Burlington Capitol Theater, where I worked for a couple of years. So
Now, did he shoot the film back to back, or did he film it first and released it and then come back and do the sequel?
so so here's the thing there. He shot his film. The I'm trying now. My brain is trying to remember what the title was. But anyway, his film that he shot, it's still in post. It's been kind of handed off from uh, person to person as far as editing, and now it's back into the hands of the original editors. But it's run into some editing hiccups, and we're hoping that it from what I hear, it's getting closer to being complete. So that one is not done. The sequel, however, is actually not so much a sequel as it is a spin-off, and that one was not directed by the same person, although he is still Batman in this spin-off, Gordon. The gentleman who played Commissioner Gordon in Nathan's film, Nathan being our Batman, he decided that he wanted to expand his character, and so he wrote up a script and cast a lot of the same actors that were in Nathan's film, myself included. And so we've been shooting that in a little studio that's being built in a very small little town in Iowa near the Amana colonies. So that's our most recent one.
Is that media? Is that Mediaverse?
Mediaverse.
Okay, my brain is unlocking.
So
You work with Michael James Menard and Damon there. Yeah, all
um,
right.
I've not worked so well. Damien was actually he was in the first Batman with Nathan. I haven't been on screen with him since that point, but I hope to be because he is just an excellent person uh, to be on set with. Um, Michael James Minard was one of the editors that the original Batman, Terrors of the Night, that was the title, Terrors of the Night, Knight. Um, he did a lot of editing on that film, and unfortunately, when he went to transfer all that edited footage, it I don't know exactly what happened, but something happened and it was all lost.
Oh,
Um, so that
I
was a
guess that's
lot of
the I guess that's the I guess that's the downside of digital filming. Whereas you have film, you can recover it. And something
um,
happened to something happened to, like 35 millimeter film or 70 millimeter, you could recover it. But
mhm.
yeah, digital, wow. I always wondered if they made backups when they did the dailies. Like you shot the film, and whatever you shot that day, you would immediately make a backup of it just in case something like that would happen. But
Well, yes,
maybe.
I mean, and the footage is all there.
Mhm.
We still have all the footage. What we don't have is the edited versions of that footage. So we
Right, so
still
you have
just
to
have
re-edit
the
it.
raw stuff. So he would have to restart the editing process and recreate everything that he spent hours, days, maybe weeks on.
Uh,
Um, but after all that edited footage, just hours of edited footage was lost, that's when he had to pass it off because he said, I don't have the time to spend to try and redo all that work that I did, because he's
those are,
very busy himself, as you know.
yeah.
So,
Mm,
uh, so that's when it was passed from him. Um, and it happens.
it does. It does. Accidents happen for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, wow, that's neat. That's neat. Now is the no the first film is still being filmed because I was going to ask you if it was done and if we could see it anywhere. Is there any footage of the first film out, or are they still, obviously they're still working on them. So there's
It's obviously it's not completed, but yes, there are previews out there. There's a couple of teaser trailers out. Um, I believe if you is it, oh my gosh, and now my head isn't wanting to work. The
no,
production.
I don't know what it is. My brain went on lock. It went on lockdown today. I'm absolutely just like I'm sort of like it sort of bothers me a little bit. It's like I totally like froze up. Hey Hops.
But it's the production company that I mean they've won a lot of awards with it's Michael Huntington and Brittany Benedict.
Right.
Um, so their production, they're the ones who did. I mean, they started the editing with Batman before it got passed off to Minard, and they have now taken it back. But they created the trailers that are out there. So if you look up their YouTube channel, I believe it's on there. Um, but it's called Batman Terrors of the Night. Night spelled like knight in shining armor or dark knight, if you will. Um, so it is out there. It is searchable. It is viewable. You can see the trailers. And then on my talent reel, I included the scene. I personally edited and touched up the scene with me and Joker so I could add it to my reel.
Sure.
So if you look me up, JoJo Munkee, you'll find my reel and you'll get to see a glimpse of Harley and Joker from Terrors of the Night.
I think that's really cool. I do. I think I actually find it really quite charming that you guys are making a fan film in Iowa. I just think that's just the coolest thing because most of the time you think of like you make a fan film in New York or Los Angeles, somewhere with tall buildings and a lot of dark alleyways and all that other stuff. And here it's Iowa, and it's like, and the thing is though, people can't, you can't say anything about it because let's be honest, Batman has made more than his fair share of trips to Smallville. Let me tell you, or and so totally fighting the Joker out there was not unheard of. So I like it. I like it. Um, now, was there any other heroes with in the show other than in the movie other than Joker and Harley and Batman? Was Nightwing or Robin in it as well?
So not as Robin, but yes,
It's Nightwing.
definitely Nightwing and and Red Hood were both featured in Terrors of the
Red,
Night.
get out of here!
Yeah,
Really? They put Red? Oh, it's bad. It's gonna be badass. And I know they have Oracle already because that's the part you would have been playing would have been Oracle.
yeah. So they did expand that one too, and we have Alana Slanka was cast as Barbara Gordon character. So you see her. I mean, her voice is the first one you hear actually in the trailer. Um, so he wrote an amazing script. He really did. I don't want to spoil too much, but he does feature a lot of the well-known villains that people know and love, and it. So yes, there was more than just the Joker, and he did. Even if he didn't, feature that give them a scene, uh, we do have a sweep through Arkham Asylum of different characters where you see them in sequence in Arkham. So those some little Easter eggs. Yes, Damien was one of the villains. Um, I don't know if I'm at liberty to say who, uh, because I think he's
Damon
also.
playing a villain. I could see Damon playing. God, he'd probably be. He would actually be a really good Clayface. He would. Yeah, he'd be a good Clayface. He'd be a good Bane too. He would be interesting Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Well, I guess he's also getting a reprisal in. I don't think he's not going to be his original character from Terrors of the Night, but I think he has been recast as another villain in Gordon. Um, so we'll look forward to seeing that. I don't know. I personally don't know anything about it. Because we actually just finished filming the first couple of episodes of Gordon, and so Damien hasn't come into the picture yet. But I was given a little bit of inside that he will be in it as another villain.
sure, that
So
that happens all the time. Now, are you filming for independent filmmaking such as you're doing? Does it always have to be during the weekends? Is it always weekends? I mean, and how hard is that to just do? You approach you come on a weekend, you film, then you go away for a week. Real life. Then you come back the following weekend. How hard is it for actors to get into character like that? Because most of the time, like if you're shooting a big movie, you're on location for 21 days. We shot for 21 days, but you're in that character. You're on a film set. It's the next day you're playing the character. You know what your lines are. You're running them or whatnot. But when you
mhm.
do a movie like this and you're shooting on the weekends, how hard is it to get it together on every other weekend or every weekend, I would say.
um, again, I feel like it can vary between individuals. I think everybody has their own acting style, and different people approach it in different ways. Um, I mean, we make the comparison of stage acting versus film acting. With stage acting, you have the rehearsals, you have that time to kind of develop your character as you go, and then opening night happens, and boom, you're that character, and that's how it is. With film, I think, yeah, just depending on the individual, I think it's a talent. I don't think everybody can do that. I think some people, they have their typecast, and that's just what they're good at, and so every character is very similar or basically the same. Um, and then you have the more diverse actors that I think it's just a skill that they have to be able to turn characters on and off.
Yeah,
Um,
because I
so, like, for
mean, I
example,
was
we see that a lot with Tim Burton characters. He has a certain type of character, but they vary from character to character. So,
um. Oh, you know what? I've been like we've been talking about this all along, but now I think it's time to hear it. Can you do a little Harley for us? Can you get into character real quick and do the voice and get into it a little bit? I'd love to hear what you sound like.
well, I don't think it's a good idea to talk things out when you're
Oh
having
my.
problems. It's going to really destroy your psyche. You know what I
Oh my.
mean?
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's so damn good. That is really good. That is really good. I
It's
can-
cool.
Oh my gosh, that is really cute. Oh my, once those movies are out, right? Once those movies are out and people hear you do that, you are going to be known everywhere. Uh, these movies will get hopefully a producer and the creator. I know now we know we can't sell the movies because
Right.
Warner Brothers would be a little grumpy about that,
We can't
but
even charge admission to see them, but it will be fun to show them on YouTube for
yeah.
sure.
I think honestly, I could actually see people wanting to get copies. I'm not sure how that would work. Like, I know you can't technically sell them. Like, you can't go out to conventions or whatnot and sell them and set up a website. But I'm wondering if fans could donate. Like, if you want to make a donation, I wonder if that legally you could get away with doing that. Because
No,
I'm sure people would want to own a copy of these two films that are coming up.
no. Unfortunately, we cannot ask for donations. We can't
Wow.
sell. We couldn't even sell concessions as a as a at least not not for profit anyway.
Yeah, but you know
Um,
what though? I will say, it's we've come across this one before too. And to me, I think that studios are being very short-sighted in this because to me it's a loving gesture. It's like it's helping keeping the property alive and in the public's eye. And to me, I always feel like, the studio said, listen, here's what we're gonna do. How much money did you spend making this movie? Well, we made it for $5,000. Okay, great. Here's what we're gonna do. You can go ahead and sell it for the first $5,000. You sell that to get your money back. You send us the invoice of everything you spent your budget on. You get
mhm.
the first $5,000. After that, then it's 70-30 us for the next $10,000. And then after that, then you can like maybe 60 or 40. The studio makes money. It's going to make money because if a filmmaker knows that they can actually sell, can actually try to recoup their money, they're going to work that much harder on promoting it. Studio makes money because there's the tiers. um, and then the filmmaker makes money because after they pay the studio what they want, then they can go back to making money themselves for future projects.
What this actually does that does benefit all of us involved, I think. Number one, it gets our faces out there. It shows our range. It shows what we can do and what we're capable of. Now, the people who shot this, this works to their advantage because even though they're not making money off, well, I mean, the production company, they can make money because, you know, if Nathan, say, wants to pay out of his own pocket, which a lot of it he did, he paid for this out of pocket, he could pay whoever he wants to offer money to make the film. But neither he nor the production company can make anything back off of it because we don't own the rights to the characters. No, however, because we could get this out there on YouTube, anybody who watches it could see, oh, this is what this company is capable of doing. I would like to have that in this production that I am writing entirely myself. All the characters are mine. And so we're using this to showcase ability, using familiar characters that people know and love to draw them in. And then when people become familiar with our abilities as filmmakers, they'll want to reach out to us to do stuff that we can get paid for and sell and produce.
Yeah, I've heard of one filmmaker who actually he wanted to from what if I remember this right, I think he went into like $30,000 to $40,000 in debt making a Friday the 13th movie fan film. And I love the dedication. You know, as a fan, as a fan, I think, wow, you're gonna have a budget and you're gonna be able to kick ass. But at the same time, it's like you have $40,000 in debt and you have no way of getting it back. You can't sell it. You can't, you can't. It just sucks. It's just a true dedication, love for at least the studios have done one thing. At least the studios back when I was growing up, you couldn't do this. Oh my God, no! You would get as soon as you spoke Harley, as soon as you said your first line in Harley, there'd be somebody over there giving you a subpoena with a cease and desist letter from Warner Brothers. So at least they.
And I have seen it happen with fan films where they get cease and desist, even for like what you were suggesting is doing, accepting donations. They got a cease and desist because they were trying to raise money by playing the video game. They were doing live playthrough of the video game that they were making the fan film based off of, and they were asking for donations from their viewers to go towards the production of their film. So of course they got the cease and desist because they can't do that legally. But if you do say that it is a fan film, then you're welcome to show it. You just can't make any money on it. You can't ask for any money on it. You can't accept donations on it.
No.
I think the only loophole there is that you can accept money if you're not accepting it as a donation towards that film. So you could show that film and then say, we're raising money for this other project with our own unique characters. That is something you can do.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would do that a lot then. I mean, because I love that. Like I said, I love the dedication, and the fact of the matter is that before when people used to say fan films, it just meant super, it's like playing in the backyard. But thanks to actually, I think the franchise that changed the point of view as far as fan films being looked at with derision to respect. I honestly have to say, without Star Trek, I don't think the fan films get that love now, because they went. Man, Star Trek has made some great fan films. And of course, it always helps too when you have legacy characters come onto the show or legacy actors come onto the show. I think it just elevated the word. Now fan film means it's exciting. I'm down for watching fan films. I think that when they're done right.
You do them right. Yes, I was going to say you do them right, and I do think it comes with its own risk. it's all 100% risk. I think if you're going to take on a fan film project, you have to have a love for it, and you have to be doing it as a passion project and not with the expectation of making anything back.
No, no, that's the first thing. That's the first thing I would tell any actor, doing any audition is one, um, I can't pay you anything because I can't make anything. If
Yes.
you commit to the project, it's only, it's basically what you said. It's a calling card. You're making a calling card. This is for your reel. This is show your range. You can show you can you get a chance to play to show your hero side, your comedy side, your villain side. I can offer you all that in a world famous property. And so I mean, you're right. There are a lot of benefits to it for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is a lot of fun. Talk to us a little bit about Skullduggery Films. Uh, now you mentioned that, and you said you wanted to talk a little bit about that. So, is Skullduggery Films, is that based in Burlington?
No, it is not actually. Skullduggery is headed by Faustus McGreaves, and he is based in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he reached out to me through one of the Midwest film uh, groups on Facebook. He said that he liked my style and he wanted to maybe do some collaborating with me. Uh, so I took on, I was actually taking on a gig a paid gig in Omaha that was coming up when he first reached out to me. It just happened to work out. I said, well, I'm going to be going to Omaha, so you'd like to get together and talk shop. Um, let's plan to do so.
Before you did that, I'm just curious. Before you did that, did you check him out? Did you see that if he was legitimate? Because there's a
I
lot of
did.
people. Okay.
Yeah, we had been talking for a little bit before I agreed to meet up and talk, and I did say too I'd like to meet up in public, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, I make sure to cross all my T's and dot my I's,
Do you
get
run
all my.
across that? Do you run across that a lot, JoJo? Do you run across fake casting directors or fake projects, and they want to meet you, but there's really nothing there, or you get there, and or they'll send you a script, and all of a sudden, poof! All of a sudden, it's they have okay, but we're gonna get a nude
Yeah,
shot. Is that happening a lot?
I actually like to preface before I accept any project. I like to preface that I won't do news. Um, I can do. I mean, I'll do skimpy, but I won't do nudes. And so
No.
I preface that. um,
I
so
see that. I feel.
if they're hoping to get that out of me, then they'll have to be disappointed because it's just
I
not
see
going to
so many
happen.
actresses. I mean, I don't go in a lot of casting groups, but the ones I see, and I'll look, and sometimes I'll see that. I'll see a woman write like, like, yeah, they contacted me for a role I was going to audition for, and then they came back and said, oh by the way, and it's just like, I just wondering how many people on Facebook, have how many actors or actresses have run across that, on scammers in general. Um,
Um, I think they definitely take advantage more of the newer the I'm gonna this sounds derogatory, but the wannabe actresses,
right.
especially the ones that haven't made it into the industry yet, the ones who want to get in but they aren't sure how. That's when they're most vulnerable and easy to take advantage of because they're offered, their hopes and dreams. And I haven't seen me personally. I haven't been in that situation. I've definitely, and it's happened a lot less, but very early on, I definitely, back in the days of Craigslist, I definitely ran into my share of weirdos who are like, so I want you to model this lingerie, and I want you to take pictures of your feet, and like just weird.
I was talking to Amy Woodall yesterday. I was telling her that. I was telling her how we actually interviewed two actresses that actually got their start on Craigslist.
Yeah,
They're actually two legitimate projects they showed up for, and they got parts, and that's how started it. I said because I said, yeah, they got parts on Craigslist, and I don't think she quite believed me. I'm because when I don't blame her, because when I heard that too, when the actress just said that, yeah, I answered an ad in Craigslist, and I'm going like, who does that? you
well,
know,
believe it or not, I actually the very first film project that I worked on as a co-producer, excuse me, I actually I ran the casting ad on Craigslist. This was back in, oh, I want to say it was 2014. Um, so, I mean, Craigslist was it before Facebook developed its groups and its ad abilities. That was kind of our only outsource um, for free,
those
because there were always the casting websites that you had to pay a subscription to, but the only way to reach out for free was through Craigslist.
right.
Um, so
Oh my
so
god.
you had to take a risk, because they were either legit or they weren't.
Yeah, it's just sort of, even now it sort of creeps me out a little bit thinking about that. Um,
Yeah.
so you met this gentleman, and you've been talking to him for a little bit,
Yes.
and you decided to go to Omaha,
Well,
to meet
I was
him,
going to Omaha. I was going to Omaha anyway.
right? For
Um,
gig,
I ended up meeting up with him, and and this is of course after we had already been communicating through Facebook. We were sharing reels and projects that we had each worked on, and so I figured he's legit. He seems legit. He's got a lot of good projects under his belt. He's got more experience than I do. Um, he told me about his experience with the Rose Theater in Omaha, which I also have connections with. Guess I graduated from high school in Omaha. Um, so we had a lot of different things that we could talk about. Um, so he wanted to have me on his production of uh, Cornered, which is what I really ought to be promoting. Um,
we can talk about it.
yes, so Cornered, he presented me with this script. Well, I didn't see the script, but he told me the premise for Cornered. It's a post-apocalyptic uh, premise where instead of having zombie characters, you have a disease that turns people more vampiric. So it's kind of a little twist on that post-apocalyptic uh, sickness uh, premise.
Sure.
But
And
so
besides, I
you,
mean,
so you have
honestly,
so
uh,
you have people who got this virus, and now they want to suck other people's blood. They have aversion to garlic. They can't go out in the sunlight because it burns their skin away. Um, so like the only difference is because it's just an illness. They don't have like the vampire teeth. They don't turn into bats. They just have this illness that makes them do very vampiric things. Um, so that's what that was about. I thought it was a very interesting premise, and so I signed on to it, and I got him hooked up with a location in Fairfield, which is where we ended up shooting it, and it is now complete. Or at least the promotional pilot is complete, and it will be premiering on the 26th at the Capitol Theater here in Burlington.
Now, will this be your first premiere?
It will be the first premiere of Cornered. He's showing other films as well. I was also involved in, he asked me to be a part of the Omaha 48-hour film challenge.
Oh, wow, okay.
So after we completed Cornered, and I also did the 48-hour in Des Moines, he asked if I wanted to be a part of their 48 in Omaha. So of course,
who did you do your first 48 with in Iowa?
I did my first one last year with I'm trying to think if they even have, I don't know if they have an actual production name, but Ben Schmidt was the director. He was the team leader. So that was my first one last year.
How'd you like it? How'd you like the experience?
I loved it. It's challenging. It's definitely, it tests your friendship with people. You get an idea of how well you're going to work with someone when you do a 48-hour with them, because you start out gung ho, and by the end you either really love or really hate each other, or a little bit of both.
I would actually love someone to make a documentary about the first 48. The 48 Field Challenge. That would actually be a fascinating documentary.
That's an idea I should bring up with Faustus, actually, because he's been doing a lot of documentaries lately, and I think that would be an interesting one, or to make at least a mockumentary, which I will have to be a part of. But anyway, I did it with Skullduggery, or with Faustus, and we did Full Circle, which will also be premiering. Now we did our 48 challenge, which is only 5 minutes long, because that was our cutoff for the Omaha Film Festival. It had to be 5 minutes or less. So we did do Full Circle and kept it under 5 minutes, but it wasn't how the film was intended to be seen. So after the 48, we actually made the extended version, where we got to include everything that we wanted to include in it, and the extended version will be also premiered along with Cornered at the Capitol. So.
Oh wow, that's so much fun! And like I said, this will be your first red carpet then, because they're going to roll out red carpet for you, of course.
I don't know about that. I've actually been on a lot of red carpets through just being a part of the film festival here, Snake Alley Film Festival. I've emceed for the Muscatine Film Festival in Muscatine. I try to go to all the IMPA, which is the Iowa Motion Picture Association. They have their awards ceremonies. So I like to go to a lot of those and support other filmmakers and do my networking. So I've had my time on the red carpet.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing your shorts, and that'll be a lot of fun too. I mean, I always dig the concept. I've talked to a few people who've done that for the 48-hour film challenge. Actually, there's one called the 49-hour film challenge, and yeah, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You get your idea, and then you got to throw together your team and get it going. It's crazy. So
one advantage you have is that you can choose your team well before the 48. Like, you don't have to assemble the team immediately after it's go time. So you have that where once you establish who all you want on your team, you establish what their role is on the team, whether they're behind the camera or an actor, and then once you get your assignment, then it becomes about where we're placing your teammates in the element of the film. So,
Uh, so what is next for you? I mean, to continue to shoot the two Batman films. Do you have any other projects that are up and running as well?
yes, actually. So just before the premiere of these Skullduggery films, I've actually scheduled to shoot a sequel to another film that I did last year, where I got to be the best friend role. Um, it's called Meeting Michael, and it was produced by the same gentleman who plays Commissioner Gordon in both the Batman and the Gordon series. Um, but he made a film, Meeting Michael, where he plays Michael, which we as the audience are to assume he is actually the Archangel Michael, but he goes around on Earth and meets up with people and makes their life easier, I guess, or helps them through the whatever traumas they happen to be facing in their lives. It's a very feel good uh, premise. Um, I think touched by an angel, but with your archangel Michael.
Mm,
Um,
I like it.
so yeah, it's a very it's an endearing film. So he premiered. I think it premiered at SNAP. I know it did show at SNAP uh, this year, but so this not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, we're shooting now the sequel, because he actually wanted to expand on my character. And this is probably going to be the most difficult project I have done to date, um, because he's digging into my character on a very deep emotional level.
So this will be
Um,
the will this be the hardest role that you've done as far as bringing up and as far as developing a character and putting a lot of yourself in it?
yes, it's emotionally uh, uh, yes.
Are you ready for that?
I don't know if I am or not. I can say that I don't usually get choked up when I am reading a script, and I read a lot of them because I mean my role in the Snake Alley Film Festival is to read screenplays, select the top 10, and then have a table read done of them at the film festival. So I have read many screenplays, many over the years, and I've never had one get me as emotionally choked up as this one has. Um, and maybe it's just because he's putting me in the role, uh, but it hit me on such a level that I think I think it's actually going to affect me emotionally.
Um,
So
well, I would definitely. I guess. How are you going to prepare for it? You're going to run lines with. You're going to run lines and try to master. Try to work on. We try to work before you shoot. Will you try to read the script over and over? Try to sort of like. I don't want to say get in your. Not necessarily hardened by the material, but at least be able to have a grip on the character before you start shooting. So like when the parts does come, the emotional aspect of it comes, you'll be prepared for that. and you won't necessarily like read it and then have a moment. Not that that's a bad thing, of course, JoJo, but I know that it would be hard to read have a part like that and have a hard time getting through it. You have to do like 10 takes or something like that.
Mhm.
That would be sort of hard. So I know nobody wants to go through that. So I was wondering, for a role like this, what will you how do you think you'll prepare for it?
Well, and like I said earlier, every person goes about preparing for their role different. For me, I I can't run lines with other people, and a lot of people do. They just run lines with others. But to me personally, that's distracting, because I don't feel like I'm getting into that character. I feel like it's me and that other person that I'm reading with, and it can get silly, and you lose focus.
Right.
So for me, I prepare by just completely isolating myself from everything and just putting myself into that character, putting myself into that situation, basically hypnotizing myself into believing that this is actually happening to me.
Okay.
Um, so I kind of take myself out of myself and put myself into this character and accept that, okay, now this is my life. This is what I'm feeling. This is how it's affecting me. And that's how I prepare for that.
That's
And
gonna
then
be very gonna be
yeah.
very interesting. Now,
So I'm used to being a comedy actress or a musical actress. This is something that's outside of my usual reel. I have done dramas before. I have gotten emotional on stage before in my character, but never in film. And so this is going to be a big challenge.
do you like being a working actress in Iowa? I mean, do you ever think about, like what it would be like for you if you went to a bigger town, a bigger movie town like, LA or New York or Georgia or Ohio? Do you think about that? Do you think like sometimes you want to relocate to see what would happen, or because to me it seems like Iowa's going upwards. It seems to
Mm-hmm.
be, yeah, seems to be there seems to be a lot of activity in Iowa, and I don't, I know a lot of people might think of Iowa like out there in the boonies, but I don't think that's the case now. I think there's a hell of a lot of talent there, and they say, I don't necessarily think that the grass will be greener over the hill for anybody who's in Iowa. I think they're in a good place creatively because there seems to be a lot happening in the state.
I
But do
would
you?
agree with that. But I do think that Iowans and Midwesterners, in general, even we approach filmmaking differently than they do in the bigger cities like LA. Uh, Someone once said, and I 100% agree with this, that in the Midwest, we have ingrained in us that uh, farmers mentality, whereas like we help each other out, and money isn't always the objective. For example, if you're living out in the country and your neighbor is way down the road, you're driving your tractor and it gets stuck in the mud. Well, Farmer Brown's going to come out of his house way down the road and he's going to come help you out. And then later on, if he's something, his crops get damaged and now he's short on his supply, well, you're going to supply him with your overabundance of whatever you've got.
Right.
So, they come together and they help each other out when they need it. And I think I see a lot of that in Iowa,
Me
where
too.
filmmakers who are trying to establish themselves before they make money their objective, they make the project their objective, and they draw whatever sources they can from wherever they can to just to make it happen. And then the the professional money gaining perspective comes in later. Um,
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Mediaverse is going to bring to the state. That's a very exciting project. I mean, you're going to
mhm.
have a whole studio built within the state that you guys can, you don't have to leave out of state now. You don't have to
Yeah,
look for locations. I mean, to have that resource within the state, within the bigger cities, I think it's going to be tremendous.
yeah.
I think it's going to be very, very cool.
I'm so excited for it. I'm super proud of everybody that has put it together. And then Jake, of course, he really. I'm just amazed that he was able to, obtain that property and make it into what it is. I saw it in the very beginning. I got a little tour of it. Um, and I was just there shooting as Harley. So and I will be there. Actually, we'll be shooting meeting Michael too there. Um, so yeah, I am so proud of what they've been able to do. I am super excited to see what else they'll do. And yeah, I do think it'll be a big thing for Iowa, which does make me feel better about, you know, deciding to be here and grow my network here. Um, but I mean, as far to answer the question, as far as do I ever think about going to other places? Yes, I think about it. I know for sure I don't want to go to LA because I've been there twice and I hate the traffic and the prices, and I would never want to live there.
No, I don't blame
It's
you.
fun. It's fun to visit, but I don't want to live there. I
Yeah.
think that would be awful. So,
Yeah,
um,
I think that's a really good. Yeah, that's pretty fair. It's a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
yeah, yes, exactly. So I do know people from there, so I do have my connections there, and that again is where I when somebody asks me, uh, what advice would you give to young people wanting to start out, uh, you don't want to jump right into New York or LA or the great big giant oceans. You want to start small in your own pond. You want to look up the film festivals because that's where I got my start, is at the film festival. You want to volunteer. Never underestimate volunteer work. Uh,
Volunteering is awesome. I feel the
yeah,
same way.
I would not have made the connections here that I have if it wasn't for, volunteering my time at the film festival and then making those connections at the after parties.
Yep.
So, and that's where it all started. That's where it all took off. And so I highly recommend, just looking for what is there in your own backyard. And if you don't have something, create something. Hold your own film festival. This one started in, we showed, had a projector and filmed that that we projected onto a white screen in a conference room in the library. So the options are out there and they're right there in your community. You just got to know where to look and who to talk to.
Yeah, I agree. I used to work in music a long time ago, and I used to go out there and I go out there and volunteer at some other clubs, or I go out there and press the flesh and say hi and smooth and everything else, and that's how I got a lot of my better a lot of my shows. Was I go out there and someone was having a street fair or something like that. I go out there and volunteer. What can I
Mm-hmm.
do? And then I would meet the right people, and next thing you know, I get a killer band out of it, or I get a killer show out of it. I
Yeah,
agree. I think volunteering at a community theater. I really feel someone who doesn't have any background. If you want to get a background, yeah, volunteer.
mm-hmm.
Someone's making a movie. volunteer and then show up.
Yes.
Don't volunteer, then don't show up because don't do that. If
That's a
you
good way
make
to
it,
start a bad reputation, and I've seen some people fall hard because they don't take it seriously.
mhm. It's a that's to their peril because, like I said, I mean, Iowa is, I mean, I already know Ohio is. Oh, Ohio's crazy talented. There's so much going on over there, but Iowa is too. I mean, I've talked to a lot of artists lately. You're just the latest one. I got Dylan coming in next Tuesday.
Oh,
So, I
good.
mean, I've been talking to, I've been and and I got a young kid coming in in December. Bo Patterson's gonna be coming in. I believe he's an Iowa-based actor. There's a lot of talent there, and
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excited to meet it, and I'm excited to see it.
Well, and Dylan, I know is I have to say I probably he holds a very special place in my heart because he is the first uh, actor to be cast in a role straight from my table. So I simply asked him to read for the lead character in this is another very emotional, hard to read script, the hardest one to date that came to my table. Um, but I asked him to read as the lead character in that, and that's how we ended up with Morris. Uh, but I asked him to read that character, and he did it so well and so respectfully, which is how it was intended to be. Um, the writer who was present uh, loved his performance of that character so much that he this is a very difficult script, but he gained the courage to actually do it and make it a film because Dylan just brought such realness to it. Um, so I actually ended up getting casting credit for that film because they cast a lot of the readers that I assigned to read that script at my table read. So Dylan, yes, was the first person, the first reader at my table to actually be cast in a film as a result of my table read.
Oh, that'll be fun to see. That'll be fun to see what he does with it. I mean, the finished product.
Well, it's
It'll be
out
very
there.
cool.
That was his first completed film.
Mhm.
They shot it. It's out there. It's called
Oh, it's
Morris.
out there. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Morris.
I have to go look. I have to hunt it down.
Yeah,
Um,
it's won. It got accepted into film festivals in other countries. He
how long ago
I,
was it? Is it? I mean, how?
oh 2000. I guess that would be 2018.
Okay, so it's out for everybody then. Everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know how film festivals are, right? Like they'll like especially when you do a film review, you'll get a movie and they'll say, well, you can't review it and because it's playing festivals. I've said on so
Mm-hmm.
many movies that I could review, but I can't because they're not done with their festival runs yet. So I have to wait until they're done. Well, we all have to wait before they're done. They have an embargo on it, a press embargo. Listen, it's I kept you way past my time. So I want to say thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. I do hope that you'll come by and visit us again once the two Batman movies are filmed. Or Batman and Gordon is finished. I would love to talk to you about those again.
Yeah.
Um, that was I'm excited because I'm a fanboy. I mean, I'm a comic book geek, so I mark out for those sort of things. But it was very nice meeting you. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for it. Thank you so much. I want to thank the chat for hanging out with us as well. I know it's a very, very busy time in our little community here. There's so much going on. So I do appreciate the fact that you came by and watched. Those who are coming by and watching the replay, I appreciate that as well. Um, uh, uh,
Thank
yes, next Tuesday, like I said, I will be talking to Dylan Yeager at 8 p.m. On Tuesday. On Wednesday, we'll be talking to Count Gregula, our first horror host will be here. And then on Thursday, the 26th, we have Jeff Clark Jr. And then me and the Cheetah, we are going on vacation. Tomorrow night, we do have our first roundtable, our second roundtable. We'll have our second roundtable, and we'll be welcoming in Ross Yerger from Up the Middle, Dana Kennedy from from Para and Normal Guys, and David Beckmeyer from Outrage Overload. All right. Stay right where you are for 1 second, JoJo. And to the chat, I want to say thank you again, and we will see you soon. Have a great
you.
night. Peace.